Pero siguro nagtataka kayo kung bakit ang Pilipinas ay kailangan pang bumili ng bigas sa ibang bansa. Alam ba ninyo na panahon pa ng Kastila, bumibili na talaga tayo ng bigas sa labas. Once or twice, the Philippines was a net exporter of rice, 1 or 2 years. Pero hindi ito nagtagal. We are among the most productive rice farmers in Asia, but we have a smaller land mass for rice production than, say, Thailand and Vietnam. And the Philippines is a rocky, densely populated archipelago with relatively few sources of fresh water, and it is frequently visited by typhoons, like Typhoon Frank, with which you are all providing sympathy for the victims today. Still, in spite of the typhoons, in spite of the dense population, the relatively smaller amount of flat arable land, still, we are 90% rice self-sufficient today. Historically, it was more economically efficient and cheaper to rely on markets for 10% of our needs rather than go for self-sufficiency. But the new economics of global food security now make it imperative that we control our own destiny in terms of rice. So we are moving to rice self-sufficiency within 5 years. To be able to do that, though, we have to make our land more productive by providing for fertilizer, which is more expensive today, so we have to begin by subsidizing our farmers. We have to provide for irrigation. When I became president of the Philippines, maybe 1/4 of our irrigable land was irrigated. Now 1/2 is irrigated. Now we should irrigate the other half. We have to provide for farm-to-market roads because we have to open now new lands in the less accessible areas if you want to become self-sufficient. We have to provide for better agricultural practices, which means spending more on agriculture education and giving more allowances to agricultural extension workers. We have to provide for more loans to our farmers. That's why Secretary Teves here has made available about 16 billion pesos for our farmers. We have to provide for dryers and other post-harvest facilities to be able to recover the more or less 20% post-harvest losses that are being experienced today. And we have to provide to propagate and develop hybrid seeds that produce more flood-resistant seeds, drought-resistant seeds, seeds for the mountain areas, and so on. And to be able to afford all that, we need an economy that is growing even more. We need support from foreign friends, foreign governments, foreign businesses, as we need support from our own efforts and our own business community. During this trip, we are addressing key issues that impact the Philippines, particularly during this time of global economic uncertainty, not just from the rising price of food, but also the rising price of oil and also the general slowdown in the developed countries of the world. We are advancing Philippine economic and investment opportunities, especially here in New York, with businessmen and investors. And the gentlemen and ladies here on the platform are helping us with that. They and we are having a series of business meetings, including announcements by Manhattan-based corporations to expand their investment in and trade with the Philippines and to add new jobs. This morning, with our business leaders, we visited the New York Stock Exchange together with our economic team as well. And you worked on a, Francis, on an agreement on technology transfer to make our exchange more productive and serve more investors and have more companies listed. But at the same time, this also paves the way, as Secretary Fabila coaxed out of the New York Stock Exchange CEO, it also paves the way, hopefully, for the eventual investment of the New York Stock Exchange in the Philippine Stock Exchange. Just now, we were at the United Nations, where we pressed for the candidacy of Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago at the United Nations International Court of Justice. And earlier this morning, we met with Filipino nurses at Bellevue Hospital to show that we are so proud of what our Filipino workers in America have achieved. I need not enumerate all of your achievements here in the United States. Cecil Rebong did that earlier, and we thank you for it almost every year. For this particular year, what the Filipino Americans told me is that the way to reciprocate your generosity to our country, as well as the way that you make us so proud of you in the United States, is to work for something that is very close to the hearts of Filipino American families and even Filipino families in the Philippines, and that is to work for the enactment of the Veterans Equity. And so that was what we did when we were in Washington, but it is very important that all Philippine Americans from all over the United States must go to your congressmen and tell them, vote for Filipino Veterans Equity. Let us support each other. We are here to support you. Though you don't need much support, you're doing very well in the United States, and we are here also to count on your support. And with your continuing support, we can remain bullish on our country. We can be optimistic about our future. We can be deeply committed to being a force for good, because we know that the Filipinos in the Philippines and the Filipinos in America all have a continuing stake in the well-being of our beloved Republic of the Philippines. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat.